I never imagined an ordinary Saturday could completely redefine my life. It all started with this nagging feeling I'd been trying to push down for months. But that day, the feeling turned into reality, and that reality was a truth I was in no way prepared to face. Her name was Emily. We'd been married for 9 years. If you looked at our life on paper, everything seemed perfect. We shared a home, a car, bills, vacations, even all those little daily rituals that make life feel safe and secure. But under the surface, things were changing. I noticed small shifts, late nights at work, suddenly being super secretive with her phone, moments where she just seemed a million miles away, even when we were sitting in the same room. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it, that I was just imagining things. I didn't want to believe that betrayal could find its way into my own home. Then I found it. I was organizing some old files in our study, just cleaning up a bit, when I saw a small SD card tucked away behind the stereo. It was hidden so well, I'm pretty sure I would have never found it if I wasn't doing a deep clean. A cold, heavy feeling settled in my stomach, but something just compelled me to see what was on it. My heart was pounding as I plugged it into my laptop, just hoping, praying, that it was old vacation photos or some files I'd forgotten about. It wasn't. The footage that played on my screen was like a punch straight to the gut. It was my wife, Emily, and my nephew, my own sister's son, in our bedroom. The scene that unfolded is something I'll never be able to erase from my mind. I completely froze. I wanted to scream, to break something, to storm in and confront them right then and there. But instead, this strange sense of calm washed over me. I couldn't process the anger in that moment. The betrayal was too big, too fast. All I knew was that I finally had proof of what I had feared for so long. I didn't fight. I didn't yell. I didn't confront her. I just let the footage play. I watched it in total silence, frame by frame, feeling my entire world tilt on its axis. Every laugh, every touch, every whispered word confirmed the truth I'd been too afraid to admit to myself. The woman I had trusted with my entire life had been lying to me. And the person I considered family, the nephew I'd helped raise, was right there with her. My first instinct was to cause a scene, to make them feel even a fraction of the pain I was feeling. But I held back, not yet. Instead, I started to plan. This wasn't about revenge or some dramatic confrontation. This was about getting clarity. I saved copies of the footage, I documented dates, times, everything I could find. I wanted a solid record, I wanted absolute certainty. And most importantly, I needed to maintain control of myself. I knew that losing my temper and letting anger take over would only give them the power. That night, Emily came home, laughing and completely oblivious. She had no idea that I knew everything. She kissed me, asked about my day, and smiled as if nothing was wrong. I just stared at her for a long moment. I wanted to ask, to accuse, to scream, but I stayed silent. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken in that instant. I decided to let her live in her happy little illusion for just a little while longer. Over the next few days, I went through the footage again and again, cataloging everything, slowly piecing together a timeline. I realized this wasn't just a one-time mistake. This had been going on for a while. It was carefully hidden, deliberate. And that realization hurt more than I ever could have imagined. My life, my trust, my home, it had all been a lie, and I had been completely blind to it. Then came the biggest decision. What was I going to do with this information? I could blow up, cause a massive scene, and humiliate everyone involved. I could go to the authorities, try to make them pay for what they did. Or I could choose a different path. I chose the latter. I decided to use this information as leverage, not for money, not for revenge, but for my own clarity and protection. First, I had to confront my own emotions. I came to terms with the fact that I could never trust Emily again. The foundation of our marriage was completely shattered. I knew I could never forgive my nephew for his betrayal. So, my priority became protecting myself legally, emotionally, and financially before I made a single move. The next day, I called a lawyer. Not to file for divorce right away, but to understand my rights, my options, and the best way to safeguard my future. We talked about everything. Our kids, the house, our joint accounts, and finances. My lawyer told me that having clear, undeniable evidence like the footage was crucial. He reminded me this wasn't about getting even. It was about protecting my life. Meanwhile, I acted completely normal around Emily. I didn't let her see any fear, anger, or suspicion. She just continued her act, totally unaware that her secret was completely out in the open. She still laughed at my jokes, asked about my day, and pretended everything was fine. And that, in a weird way, gave me a sense of control. For the first time in months, I felt the power shift back to me. One night she actually asked me why I seemed so distant. I didn't answer her directly. I just looked at her quietly, and for a split second I saw it in her eyes, a flicker of uncertainty, maybe guilt, maybe even fear. She had no idea that I already held all the cards. Eventually I knew it was time. Not out of rage, but out of pure necessity. I filed for divorce. I requested full custody of our children and took legal steps to protect them from any interference from her or my nephew. I gave all the evidence to my lawyer, who confirmed we had an incredibly strong case. Every single decision I made was calculated, precise, and designed to reclaim my life without letting my emotions cloud my judgment. The final confrontation was almost anticlimactic. When Emily finally realized I was serious, it was too late. She begged, she cried, she tried to explain it all away, but I just remained calm. I didn't yell, I didn't make threats. I simply laid out the facts and told her the marriage was over. My nephew tried to justify his actions, but I didn't waste any more energy on him. I learned that a calm, measured approach is often far more effective than a loud, angry confrontation. Over the following months, I started rebuilding my life. The house became my own. I regained control over my finances, my daily routines, and my own emotional well-being. My true friends and family rallied around me, offering support I didn't even know I needed. I started seeing a therapist not because I was weak, but because I was strong enough to know I needed help processing the betrayal and making sure it didn't define the rest of my life. Watching the fallout from a distance, I realized something profound. Sometimes the most powerful response isn't shouting or seeking revenge. It's patience, control, and careful planning. Letting the truth reveal itself, documenting every detail, and acting with a clear head allowed me to reclaim my life and my dignity. Betrayal is devastating. It cuts you deeper than you can imagine. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about the people closest to you, but it also teaches you resilience. It teaches you clarity. And most importantly, it teaches you that sometimes silence, observation, and deliberate action can be far more powerful than immediate confrontation. I never fought. I never yelled. I just let the truth speak for itself. And in the end, that made all the difference. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever gone through something similar, know that you have the strength to get through it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about resilience and finding your way back.